Well, speaking of Nas, you heard what Cam said, right?
Yeah, actually, I just watched it when you sent it to me this morning. I had seen it got posted, but yeah.
Yeah. Well, for the people out there who didn't see it, Cam was giving Nas props for all the work that he's doing for Hip Hop 50, and he gave Nas a nod, saying like, "Look, man, I appreciate you letting me be a part of this celebration." He said he had never played Yankee Stadium. He said he's played the Apollo, played the Garden many a times. And he acknowledged the fact that him and Nas had back and forth, competitive back and forth, and issues in the past. And it was very big of Nas to invite him out to that and acknowledge his cultural impact. And I think that's very big for both individuals. I think it's an awesome thing.
I do too. I like how Cam made it a point to talk about the fact it's like, no, this is somebody we used to have issues.
Yeah.
And it's beautiful, and I think this is the thing people need to take cues from. Hip hop's in that beautiful place too, where it's like, well, even a lot of that young dumb shit we used to see when we were younger, but now these dudes are older too.
Right.
And Nas and Mass Appeal, like they see things, and it's like, no, Harlem is a part of this, and the biggest star out of Harlem, Mike, in the last 25 years, no disrespect to Mace. I know everybody loved Big L. I know Jim Jones made the biggest record in the crew, but it's Cam.
Cam was the face of Harlem.
It's Cam.
Yeah.
And Nas knows that too. So, like that's just, that's a boss move.
Well, I love it in the fact that, personal stuff aside, it's about the culture. It's about hip hop, and it's about getting history correct. And I think what Cam kind of, I don't want to say alluded to, but kind of said without saying is there's some people out here who would ignore getting history right because they have a personal issue with you, or they don't like you, or you come off a certain way. But Nas was being the bigger person,
right.
And and it's like, fuck all that. You know what I mean? You're a big part of hip hop. You're a big part of the impact of this thing. And you got to be here.
I wish DMX was here for Hip Hop 50.
I really do too, man. Because I think X would have gotten a whole lot of love. X would have been out here spreading the love.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. I didn't even think about that. But there's so many people, and that's why this is really important as well. There's so many people that didn't make it to the Hip Hop 50, like, the Phife Dogs, you know what I'm saying? Like, many of these groups, Mobb Deep, they're displaced because they don't have, members anymore.
Right.
Prodigy's and I think it's very important for people who did make it to see this, to celebrate in this.
Yeah, NWA can't get back together. Easy gone.
Yep, NWA can't get back together. Like, and this is a genre culture that changed everybody's lives.
Daylight now. Daylight got right back to streaming and lost Plug too.
Yeah.
So yeah. A lot of our heroes, like we really weren't going to get the opportunity to see them, like just about death.
We're not going to get Old Dirty back with Wu, man. Like, you know what I'm saying? And so for people who are sitting out this Hip Hop 50 thing, they got to think about those things, because at the end of the day, regardless of where you are or where you are in your status, hip hop got you there. And that's just the truth.
Right.
You didn't get there because you went out there and majored in business and, went and got a job somewhere and became a stockbroker, or, built up penny stocks or whatever. Hip hop got you here. It's just the bottom line. Gritty with the super chat says, do you guys think KD2 is better than Magic 2? Yes.
Yes.
I would give it the nod. I think it's a more complete effort, but like you said, it's more about the marathon. Now, I will say,
it's too many dope records on KD2. Like, count me in.
I do think that Magic 2's high moments could be higher than KD2's high moments.
See, but that's what I'm saying.
You got nobody.
Store running nobody's on KD2, so you can't say that.
It's hard to say.
Because it's like Slow It Down and Pistols or the In Motion or the highlights. It's like, nobody in Store Run are comparable to that. It's like Store Run and Slow It Down are a wash. Nobody in Pistols on your album cover. I'm probably taking Nobody actually still, Mike. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And so it's like Motion's better than Rare, but then it's like, not joking, Mike, but it's like, well, what about Death Row East? What about 40 Side?
Death Row East is on KD2.
What about Count Me In? What about My Bible? What about Brunch on Sunday even? It's like, no, he's got a lot of dope records on there, Mike.
Let me ask you this, though, and we can move on.
You like Moments.
I love Moments.
That's the Jan Sport J joint.
Yeah. Shout out to Jan Sport J.
Yeah, we about to talk to him.
Yeah,
we're about to talk to his artist Snow soon. I'm about to reach out and try to make that happen.
Yeah, that project they put together is fire.
That shit's fire. Yeah, we need to talk about it.
Mitch with the super chat
See
says,
if we can get them Monday.
I look at X performing with Snoop during the verses and his Hip Hop 50 showing Phife, Prodigy, ODB, Plug. should have been performing Hip Hop 50. Yeah. I want to ask you this, and we'll move on though. Do you think that Nas has become the unofficial or official ambassador for hip hop during this Hip Hop 50?
I think by way of mass appeal, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, by way of mass appeal, not directly, because I mean, in true fashion, still kind of in the shadows with a little bit, but about the things mass appeal have literally been doing, like pretty much since we've been doing this podcast, Mike. It's like, well, it'd be hard to say who
deserves it.
What company, conglomerate, entity in this sphere has been more dedicated to the culture of hip hop that you've seen since we've been doing the show than mass appeal?
No, you're right. They put in the work.
They put in the work.
Jay Short with the super chat says, other than nostalgia, is Stillmatic really better than KD3? We've gone through this and we did a Patreon with that. I think it's close. I feel we as Nas fans still have some bias towards the past too. I think time will definitely tell. I think KD3 is a lot closer to Stillmatic than people want to acknowledge, but his mic performance on Stillmatic is something else.
It is, and it's like, well, if you want to talk about some high moments, Mike.
Yeah.
Like, that album may have actual more high moments than any of his other albums. Not his best, but man, when he's like, like the Stillmatic intro, no, Mike.
Holiday Hell Day and stuff. You know?
Yeah, but the Stillmatic intro, Mike, no, Mike, that might be his best intro.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, period. Like, of his catalog, you know what I'm saying? Not counting New York State of Mind as an intro, but it's like, as far as like an intro song, it's like, oh no, that's the best intro he ever did.
What goes around comes around is special.
That might be one of his top 10 mic performances, Mike. That's what I'm saying. Rewind.
I like when he's in that song.
You're the Man.
Yeah.
Destroy and Rebuild. The Flyest. One Mic.
Yeah, he's in a zone.
Ether's on there. You know what I'm saying? It's a lot, Mike. It's a lot. His highlights on there are high.
I've always said, though, you know, when we talk about this hip-hop culture, and this is when I used to believe that maybe hip-hop could have, like, a president, vice president, or whatever. I've always said, like, Chuck D should be, you know, hip-hop's representative, right? Like, when the news media comes out there and comes down on hip-hop, that really doesn't happen that much anymore. But to actually have a respected voice, go out there and speak to the culture, I always looked at Chuck and KRS as those guys.
Mm-hmm.
I think Nas is that guy now.
You would say that they would be in advisor roles at this stage in the game, right? They would be trusted advisors.
Mm-hmm.
You know, have them in the cabinet.
He's brought everybody together.
Yeah.
He hasn't made it about himself, you know, and I'm not saying that at his diss as a slight or anybody. I'm just saying in general, it's been about Hip Hop 50. And like Cam acknowledged, he was like, a lot of people might not know that, you know, Nas put this together. You know what I'm saying? And he made it a point to let people know that that's what it was.
Community love, providing jobs.
And so for the people, you know, who did have discrepancies or do have discrepancies about how Hip Hop 50 is taking place and maybe being way more East Coast, I guess, centric than they would like, you know, he stepped up and did that.
That's
what
I mean.
Other people can actually step up and do the same thing.
Like Snoop could have did that on the West, and I'm not calling out Snoop. I'm just giving an example of people. Like Snoop or Ice Cube could have did that for the West Coast. Master P and Baby, Jermaine Dupri could have did it down here. Like no, there are other people that could have done what Nas and Mass Appeal just did, because Mass Appeal's a record label and a media marketing entity company. How many of these other guys are walking around with the same status and stature and have their own companies and, you know, have their own cachet to make these sort of things shake?
And I'm not just saying this because I've had, you know, well, not real conversations, but I've had, like, you know, interactions on social media with people from Mass Appeal. They're very approachable, right? I don't think if Master P, Luther Campbell, whoever was to go to Mass Appeal and be like, look, I want to do this, this, and this, that they would shit on him. I don't get that vibe. You know what I'm saying? Maybe I'm wrong, but I do believe that even if some of those factions who wanted to do their own thing even reached out to Master Appeal to do some of these things in concert in their own respected regions, I believe that they would have done it. Or you could just do it on your own. But I think that this whole Hip Hop 50 thing is about unity, and it would be good for everybody to be able to come together and
that's
put
what
their
I'm saying.
Respective
Mass
parts
Appeal
together.
didn't just start doing Hip Hop 50 stuff this year in
They've
year number 50.
They did a piece on cornbread out of Philly.
This has been a conscious effort by Mass Appeal, literally in the years prior to Hip Hop 50, approaching Hip Hop 50. So plenty of people have had time to even take notes and watch what they're doing and piggyback off of it.
Yeah.
And for some reason have chosen not to. And so for me, that just speaks to a care.
I guess. And I would love
time and money.
I would love to speak to some of the people who do have discrepancies to see what their side of it is. Maybe they have reached out to people and we don't know. You know what I'm saying? Maybe there is something there to that degree. But yeah, it just feels like Mass Appeal and Nas and his team, they really planned out for this, put in the work in conjunction with the museum and all those things. And they've been doing this for years. And I think people saw something that was already running and they felt left out. But they didn't, jump on it while it was building. You know what I mean?
Right.
It happens.